Before we start calling people names and all of that stuff, let's do some research. Let's see how cold Antarctica really is. The average winter temperature at the South Pole is about negative 49 Celsius. Let's find another place on Earth that's comparable to that and has a population of people living there.
Have you ever imagined what the toughest, most extreme climate on planet Earth looks like? Well, there's a certain region of northeastern Russia where conditions for human habitation truly couldn't be any more difficult. The region of Yakutia is widely known as one of the coldest, most brutal regions on planet Earth, where midwinter temperatures regularly fall below minus 60 degrees Celsius.
Now remember, on average, Antarctica reaches negative 49 degrees Celsius, while this place reaches below negative 60 degrees Celsius and has been known to go as low as negative 71 degrees Celsius, all while people live here.
Visibility is often less than 5 meters, and the sun is completely blocked by an impenetrable layer of fog lasting months on end. You would think, with conditions like this, there's no way a society could function and so-called normal life could operate. But there are actually a group of people that have called this region home for generations and have not only survived, but thrived.
Meanwhile, in Antarctica, the temperature is 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It gets colder than this where I live at in the Sierra Nevada mountains.
It's about 10 degrees Fahrenheit out here, but I think the wind chill puts it at about minus 9 degrees Fahrenheit.
And on top of this, it gets pretty warm at the supposed South Pole.
The world's coldest continent officially has a new record high temperature. According to the World Meteorological Organization, Antarctica's northern tip reached a verified high of 63.5 degrees Fahrenheit in March 2015. That broke the old record of 59 degrees Fahrenheit. That was set in January of 1974.
Now, there has to be some other reasoning behind why you can't go to this place, aside from its supposed inhospitableness, because as you can see, it's survivable. Not only that, in the 1950s, this guy right here, he went there in a flying tin can that didn't have heating or air conditioning. And not only did he survive, he came back and told a different story as to what he experienced at the supposed coldest place on Earth.
Is there any unexplored land left on this Earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
He got on television and said only what he was allowed to say. If you want to hear what more he had to say about his experience, let me know in the comments. I'll post an entire video on it. And then you'll understand why we have the Antarctic Treaty.
I mean, think about it. It's the only treaty that's all these countries have signed and never broken and completely agreed on. It's the only one. And what treaty is there that everybody's agreed on? We're being kept away from it for a reason. They have some scientific bases there, and literally it's controlled by the military. If you try and go there by yourself, you will be sort of picked up and escorted back. There was a guy called Jarls Anderhoy who tried to take a mission to the Antarctica, and he was picked up and taken back by the military. It's a good reason, because they don't want you finding out what's beyond. Admiral Byrd he actually did four expeditions. And most of them were military expeditions with huge military groups, thousands of people, planes, boats, the works. And yes, he confirmed in an interview that he discovered a continent as big as the continental United States out there, that was with warm water lakes and mountains and everything, that was completely uninhabited. And he described it as the other side of the South Pole to Middle America. So on the globe, that means it would be somewhere in the Indian Ocean. There's a huge continent that nobody knows about. So yeah, there's more going on than meets the eye. The other thing is, after Admiral Byrd came back after his last expedition, Antarctica was sealed off, and both America and the Russians started firing nuclear missiles straight up. Now, in America, that was called Project Operation Fishbowl, and it came under something called Project Dominic. Well, Fishbowl makes sense because it seems like Admiral Byrd found the edge of the dome, okay, while he was out there, and as soon as he left there, they started firing missiles straight up, I believe, to try and test how far that dome went. If you look at the footage of these explosions, what you'll see is an explosion. Well, when a bomb goes off in midair, it's a fireball. It expands in all directions and mostly up. Okay. Now, if you look at these explosions on Operation Fishbowl, they explode outwards in a ring, which means it's exploding against something because it can't rise with the heat. So it's exploding against something and exploding outwards, okay? And the middle of the explosion, you'll see it glows, hot, and then it cools over time. So it looks to me like they were exploding against a dome. Now, I said it was Operation Fishbowl, obviously Fishbowl, but there's a chap called Rob Skiba who discovered that the Project Dominic, the word Dominic means of the Lord. Fishbowl of the Lord. So I believe they clearly know that we're in an enclosed system, and Admiral Byrd found the edge, and they've tested to see how far it goes.